welcome Juanina to Well and Worthy Life podcast. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited.
Oh my gosh. So we met on Instagram,
I know,
and
right?
I mean, it's so fun to meet other wellness people on Instagram. This past year in 2020, I've connected with more people that way than ever before.
I know, it's the beauty of social media, right?
It is. So social media can be good and then
Mhm.
it can be bad.
Yes.
So, but this is the good part. And I'm
Yes.
so excited because you're getting ready to launch your new business.
Yeah.
So tell everybody about what you're getting ready to launch.
Sure. So my new business is going to be a wellness website called Flex and Flow Wellness.
Mhm.
It's essentially going to have three parts. It's going to have subscription-based yoga flows, breath work, and meditation, health coaching services, as well as recipes. So that goes live at the end of the month.
That is so exciting. I remember you telling me about this, gosh, when we first talked in, was it September or
I
October? I
think it
don't
was.
even
It
know.
was like earlier in the fall when we
Yeah.
connected. Yeah.
And you were telling me about this, and I'm so excited because I have done one of your flows with you on Instagram.
Oh
You
my, yeah.
had I think you've got, do you have more than one flow? I know one day I saw it on there like on an IGTV or something, and I did
Yeah,
it
I
with you.
did one. It was right around the election because that was,
Yes.
a stressful time for all. And I thought it was a good time just to kind of share a little mini flow for
Mhm.
everyone. It was sort of like a meditative flow, very slow paced, a lot of breathing.
Mhm.
Yeah, so I did share that. It was about ten minutes, I think, was the
Yes,
flow.
it was perfect for me. I
Yeah,
like short and sweet.
me too. And that's actually, it's funny that you say that because that's a big part of my website is everything being like all of the flows are 40 minutes or less. All of the breath work and meditations are 10 minutes or less. All of my recipes are very short and sweet, easily accessible for everyone at any local grocery store, nothing crazy that you have to special order. So, my website is really all about accessibility and health and wellness for all. And yes, I'm with you on the
So
short and
good.
sweet. Who has the time
I
nowadays?
think that's exactly, and so when we complicate it by
Yeah.
thinking we have to spend an hour and a half doing something, or, with recipes when there's, so many ingredients and it's so complicated. I mean, I just don't have time for that. I mean, even in a pandemic, I don't have time for that.
Don't have time, and I
Mhm.
think it's that all or nothing mentality that is really
Mm,
damaging to progress.
I
Um,
totally agree.
it's like I'm going to cut out all carbs. I'm going to work out for an hour and a half every day, and it's just that it just doesn't work. It doesn't work for long. It's not sustainable. So I think it's about baby steps being big steps.
That's exactly right. I just read this book. Well, I read it for the second time, Tiny Habits with
Oh,
BJ
cool.
Fogg. And he talks about that exact thing that you have to take it small
Yeah.
because, and then you have to celebrate yourself when you take it small. But we take on these big chunks, like, especially right here, right around the New Year's, everybody's like, okay, I'm going to exercise, 5 or 6 days a week, maybe 7 days a week for an hour every day. I'm only going to eat I'm gonna do Whole 30. I'm like,
Right.
oh my gosh, that
Hmm.
is just not sustainable long term.
Not at all. Not at all. And I need to check out that book. That's really cool. I'll have to check it
Yeah.
out for
Oh,
sure.
yeah. It's you'll love it. It's
Yeah.
one of my favorite
Love
books
that.
of
Okay.
all
Yep.
time.
That's like
Um,
how I've learned anyways to live my life.
yes, yes, we have to. So tell me what got you into yoga and health coaching and kind of your journey there.
Sure. So I guess yoga was the start of it. I've always, I mean, I guess just to kind of like rewind all the way back, I've always really loved food. Like really, really love food. If I had
Mhm.
one passion, it's probably food and cooking and eating and just like the joy of that. And you know and my goal was always to sort of balance that with like a healthy lifestyle because I do think there's a lot of balance involved in that. I think you have to live a holistic happy life, you have to balance, you
Yeah.
have to have those joys in your life but also kind of know like, all right, maybe I splurged a little too much last night, I need to kind of tighten it up this morning. And so with that I had a lot of trouble early on, through college, finding a way to balance all of that,
Mhm.
and going to the gym and lifting weights and working out in the more traditional methods just didn't really work for me. It was always very short lived. It was kind of going back to that whole, I'm going to hit the gym for an hour every day, and I'm going to get fit and etc. And it just didn't work. And so I'm trying to remember actually how I discovered yoga. I had friends that dabbled in it for sure. I started following this yogi slash, she's like a vegan foodie, Kimberly Snyder. I don't know if you follow her on
Mm-mm.
Instagram, but she's amazing. She has also a very holistic view on just sort of like living a healthy, happy life. And I kind of was introduced to yoga through her on a more serious level. So I
Mhm.
started practicing. Got very into it very quickly. With that, I started getting into more sort of balancing out my diet instead of just sort of splurging all the time, which is more or less
Right.
the way that I was living my life, or saying, okay, I'm going to eat whatever I want on Sunday, and then Monday, I'm going to get it in, right? Like everyone's done that. It's like,
Right. We've all been there.
we've all been there where it's like Monday is when it all starts.
Mhm.
I was like, I really need to find a way to make this work. So I started cooking more, which was really, really helpful because for those who don't know, started my career in restaurants very early on. So restaurants, hospitality was always a huge part of my life. With that comes a lot of late nights, a lot of eating out, a lot of snacking throughout shifts. So, I really started realizing I needed to incorporate more whole foods that I was bringing from home, cooking more at home.
Mhm.
I've always been more of like a veggie carb person than like a meat person, and everyone's different in that. Some people thrive more off of proteins. For me, I definitely live for the carbs. So, just making sure that I was incorporating enough, just like nourishing fruits and vegetables in my diet.
Mhm.
Figuring out recipes was always a big passion of mine, going along with just my love for food. So all of that just started to sort of grow and snowball. And it worked out really well because my career in restaurants up until, this pandemic hit,
Mhm.
you know was great for that because I was able to explore all different sorts of ingredients and work with some really amazing chefs. And I don't know, it kind of all worked really holistically for a long time. So yeah, that was sort of my, I guess, my journey
That
through
is so cool. So
yoga.
what did you do in the restaurant business then, exactly?
So I have worked in pretty much every aspect of restaurants other than a chef. I started as a hostess early on when I was 15. I bartended my way through college. When I moved to New York, I got an unpaid internship in public relations. So of course I needed
Mhm.
to make some money. So I was waiting tables and bartending in the city. And that snowballed into working in food PR and marketing, and then transitioning into special events. So
Super cool. Oh, that's really neat.
it
And
was
how old are you? I know that you've told me before, I can't remember. You're
all
young.
think I am. No, I'm 37. I turned
37,
37
yeah.
in October.
You look even younger than that,
Oh, thank
but 37 is still very young compared to me at 55, so
you. Remember when we first got introduced? I'm like, "How old are you? Are you even 40 yet?" Because you said a woman over 40, and you were like, "Girl."
Oh gosh. Well, so how did the pandemic change everything for you?
Oh gosh, so that this year has been so crazy. I know it has been for most. So
Mhm.
for me, the pandemic decimated both of my industries. It decimated the restaurant industry, particularly in New York City, and it decimated
Mhm.
special events, right?
Right.
So I knew that when the pandemic hit, and I worked for this amazing company, and they kept us all on board to start, but I
Mhm.
knew that if it continued, they could only hold on to all of us for so long, and then they were going to have to start making
Right.
some serious cuts. And, in a role like mine is not in operations, the functioning of a restaurant or the business. So, a role like mine, marketing, things like that tend to go first. And they held on to us for 6 months,
Wow.
which was amazing. We had things to do. We had some special projects we were trying to work on, certainly thinking outside the box, to try to get the ball rolling. And interestingly enough, that was part of the reason why I was introduced or reintroduced to IIN, because they would
Mhm.
order catering orders from one of our brands. So I reached out to them for a partnership, and that's how I ended up moving forward with the program. So that's one of the pieces that, one of the things that
Mhm.
happened this year. But that, really was the sort of trigger to me changing my career path.
Mhm.
Luckily, before all the layoffs happened, I had already gotten my yoga teacher training certification because I was
Mhm.
working remote. So I was like, now is the time.
Right.
And already started the IIM program through the partnership with one of our restaurant brands. So it really just shifted everything. And I thought to myself, you know, having something that's not brick and mortar right now, something that can be all
Exactly.
online. Yeah, yeah. That's the reason, I would love to teach yoga in person. I love
Mhm.
when I would go to a yoga class and the teacher would come and adjust and use essential oils and things like that. And I'm
Right.
sure we will get back to that. But for now, doing a subscription based program just seemed to make the most sense. And of
Mhm.
course, health coaching can be done just like this. So,
Exactly.
and
Exactly.
and I think people now too, with the pandemic, not even just with COVID, but also just being at home more. And I think the beauty of 2020 was people realizing, I think, what's important to them and kind of having a little more time to reflect. And I think people going forward are going to take health and wellness to another level and self care.
Oh,
I think that's been
absolutely.
the positive part of 2020 for many
Right,
people.
right. Well, and the positive part is that this is something that you'd wanted to do for a long
Yeah.
time, and it's so hard sometimes to. One of my very, very first podcasts I ever did was with a friend of mine who now I can't even believe it, but she's 60, but she started her blog back, I don't know, maybe 7 or 8 years ago
Right.
before, I mean, one of the first blogs, and we did an episode on the first episode was on, reinventing yourself.
Mhm.
And I think that a lot of women and even men right now are having to reinvent themselves and figure out another path. And
Yes.
this was your path, which there have been some really horrible things about 2020, but there have been some really good things. And I'm looking forward to, to better things in
Me
2021. How
too.
about you?
Me too. I think 2021 is going to be pretty amazing.
Yeah. Yes, it has to be. It has to
Yes.
be.
Like, right? We
Yeah,
are manifesting the shit out of making it amazing.
that's right.
Because 2020 was a little brutal,
It
but yeah, I
was.
do think that that's a really good point, and I think for so many people, and I'm really speaking more towards my previous world of hospitality. I mean, if you if you don't have a way to reinvent yourself, I mean, you're really going to be lost. I mean, I think people are really going to have to look inward and figure out other things to do, because I do think that certain industries are going to be affected for like years to come. Like even
Mhm.
after the everyone gets the vaccine and all of that. I mean, I think it's going to be at least a year or two, particularly. And I am also speaking more towards like New York City, more urban areas
Mhm.
where there are so many people. I mean, it's a very different ballgame. I mean, right now, New York City, they shut down indoor dining. So it's like the restaurants that did survive, I'm not even sure how that's going to pan out over the next couple of
I
months.
can't even imagine. I mean,
I mean, they last until April. So,
yeah, what's gonna be cold? I mean,
yeah.
I'm not gonna eat outside of New York. I'm not even, it's funny because my husband and I used to go to New York, oh, easily 4 times a year.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I love New York City, but I
I
can't
know.
imagine going back anytime soon.
I know. I know. And so many people have moved out. I mean, we moved out of the city when we had our son, 3 years
Mhm.
ago to just Westchester, but we're very grateful. We said early on this year, we're like, thank goodness we moved out when we did, because I can't
Yes.
imagine having a crazy little toddler in a 1 bedroom apartment in the
Uh-uh.
city with nothing to do with them.
No, that would be
That's another big kudos, is like shout out to all the parents out there, right? Like homeschooling children, and
oh,
it's been a year.
I say, I mean, thank goodness I have 3 boys, they're all grown,
Oh,
and
yeah, I don't
I
think I knew
can't.
that. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, they're 31, gosh, about to be 32, about to be 30, and 27 this year, which is crazy to me, absolutely crazy, but I'm so thankful I'm not homeschooling those boys. I would have lost my mind. Summers were bad enough, but I'm like, "Oh, I would have absolutely lost my mind."
I know. I'm really grateful that Tristan is only 3, because so he's not school age. So I don't have
Right.
like the pressure of actually having to teach him things
Yes,
like that,
exactly,
because
exactly.
that would be, I don't just not ideal. I am no
No.
teacher in
No.
that space, anyways.
Yes, yes,
Yoga space.
exactly. So what are you doing right now? I do believe with this pandemic still and everything else that's going on that it is more important than ever to keep ourselves healthy, right? And I just like you said, I think it's going to people are going to understand that it's not just about wearing a mask and all these other things. It is more about getting our bodies ready to
Yep.
fight off anything.
Yep.
So I know I'm taking like vitamin D, vitamin C, zinc. any kind of supplement I can get my
Right,
hands on
right.
just
Give it
about.
all to me. Yeah. No, I take, a multivitamin every day that has sort of all the things in it. I love this one brand. It's an immunity pill from a company called Plant People. So I've been taking that. I
Mhm.
don't always take it, but I had to travel. I had some necessary travel that I had to take flight on over the holidays. So I started taking that, which has been really great. And it's also just the little things that you do every day. For me, like my warm water with lemon every morning is
Mhm.
huge. It's having my green juice or my smoothie every morning. Everything that you put into your body, everything that you eat. I think that's the real medicine.
Exactly.
So it's just making sure doing those little things every day, and also for my
Mhm.
family. My son, he is definitely the typical toddler. Wants his pasta and his peanut butter and jelly, but I always make sure he drinks green juice. He gets his smoothie. I always put a lot of
Oh,
spinach in
wow.
there. Yeah, kind of hiding it. I call it a milkshake. It's like my
I
little
love
trick. Put
that.
some vanilla almond milk yogurt in it. He doesn't know the difference. But just really making sure that we're eating the way that we should and feeling, the best that we can, and still moving too, right? Because I do think, again, where we are, it's freezing. There's like literally snow
Mhm.
on the ground from the little bit of snow that we had
Oh,
overnight, and it's hard to really get outside and get motivated when
mhm.
it's freezing outside. So I think
Right.
just making sure that you're still moving. So whatever that means for you, whether it's practicing yoga, whether it's taking your dog for a walk, just making sure that you're getting movement in every day is so important.
So why do you love yoga so much? What has yoga I've been yoga certified too, and I don't practice like you do. I wish I did. Maybe I'll be able to practice more with
Yeah,
you. But
absolutely.
tell me why you love yoga and the benefits of yoga.
Yeah, for me, I'm very naturally type A, and I run very anxious.
Mhm.
I my husband is like, "Oh my God, you're OCD," because I always like keeping in its place, and I'm really learning how to sort of conquer that and not be so like that. Like it's okay if there's like a little bit of mess, or it's okay if there's a dish in the sink, and not always feel like I have to be like on and all over everything. It's been a thing, and my mother was like that, and I completely got it from her. So I just run very tense all the time. So for me, a practice like yoga and meditation, and I'm by no means incredibly advanced. I meditate about 5 minutes a day. It's really all that I've kind of worked towards so far. I'm trying to get to 10 minutes a day, to really kind of hone in and focus. But really having that breath work and those like slower movements works very, very well for just like balancing my natural energy.
Mhm.
So that is one reason why yoga for me has been huge. It's been the one workout that I've consistently been able to do and enjoy and truly enjoy doing for
Mhm.
now, I think 7 or 8 years.
And sit right there, to me, that is almost the most important thing. It's not what you do, it's how much you love it. Because if you love something, you're going to do it.
Right.
If we say that, well, you have to do this, like if somebody said, well, you have to lift heavy weights every day, I'd hate that. That's not
Yeah.
not going to be sustainable for me, so I'm not going to do
Right.
it.
Yeah.
And I do love one of the things that I do think to me about yoga is so important is that breath work.
Mhm.
And I realized it was probably when I was doing my yoga training, that I was taking care of my stepfather who has Lewy body dementia.
Mhm.
And I would catch myself holding my breath all
Yeah.
the
Oh
time.
gosh, yes.
And so I learned to catch that and then breathe. And then I read somewhere or maybe heard it through yoga training, I'm not sure, that we shallow breathe all day long and that we need to work on that breath work
Yes.
and that meditation is so important. And really yoga is breath work more than
Yep.
anything.
Yep. With movement. Yeah.
Mhm.
And that's so funny that you say that, because I find myself even now, even though I'm certified and I practice yoga
Oh
almost
yeah.
every day, I'm always holding my breath. Like I always catch myself kind of like, or if I'm thinking
Mhm.
about something, or even, when I'm
Mhm.
speaking to someone, because again, I run kind of fast and tense. So I tend to speak that way and I use my hands a lot. And I'm like, okay, I need to like just take a breath, you know?
Mhm.
Just take a breath in through the nose, out through the mouth, like just let it go.
Mhm.
So yeah, the breath
Yeah.
work is so important. And the lungs, like anything, you got to get it moving.
Mhm.
Just like your outside physical body, just like your brain, you kind of have to work all of those, muscles, organs, all of those things.
Mhm.
Very
Yeah,
important.
I totally, totally agree. I think it is very important. When I take a deep breath, even if it's not just a yoga deep breath, if it's just a deep breath, it centers me. just calms my nervous system. It just it does wonders for me. And so I always encourage my clients just to stop. Even before, like if you're going somewhere and you're about to walk in somewhere that's going to be, you're going to be tense, just take that breath, right?
Take a deep breath. Even before we jumped on, like I meditated. I
Mhm,
did a little
mhm.
5 minute meditation. I got my essential oils. You
Ah,
know, do that deep breathing.
okay, what's your favorite essential oils?
Oh, okay. So I use a lot of the doTERRA. I really
Mhm.
enjoy their
I do
oils.
too.
I love straight up lavender and lemon.
Mhm.
Like those are probably my two favorites. They have a couple of really nice blends. Their Hope blend and their Peace blend. I use that. I actually have
Okay.
the Peace on right now. I like to just kind of
Oh,
take a breath
uh-huh.
here and there, and just sort of inhale it in. But I think lavender is just probably my go-to.
Mhm.
Very
Yep.
calming.
I like to put the, oh, what is it? The orange, I can't remember, it's something orange in
Uh-huh.
water. It tastes so
Oh,
yummy. Oh my gosh. Somebody else introduced me to that and I was like, "Oh my gosh, that's awesome." And I use the peppermint in my
yeah.
coffee.
Yes, okay, I do use pepper and tea tree. Tea tree I use a
Yep.
lot, not so much for, like, the breathing purposes, but more for, you've got blemish, tea tree I feel like is just so healing for the
Mhm.
skin. I love tea
Yes.
tree oil.
Yeah, yeah.
Essential oils are a big part of my life. I love them.
Are they How long have you been using essential oils?
I was using them off and on. When I first started practicing yoga, I got into them.
Mhm.
I was trying to do this was one of those things that was, I was really trying to get into like making all of my own products. So I was making
Oh,
my
wow.
salt spray. I know. I had a little blog way back in the day. Like I think it was even before Instagram really became a thing, or I was doing a lot of those like DIY and also a lot
Oh,
of like recipes and such. It was called Clean Karma. Don't do it anymore. It's not live anymore. But I worked with essential oils a lot then. I work with them less now only because, I think I was just sort of trying to be a little bit of an overachiever, creating all of my own products. And there's a lot of great natural products out there that I've discovered, so I just kind of roll with that. Especially now with children, you know how it is. You don't quite have the time.
it
But
changes your life.
yes, exactly. But now I just really use them more for just like first thing in the morning. It's almost like my perfume. Like I
Mhm.
don't really
Oh,
wear
yes.
perfume,
Yeah.
but like I use essential oils almost like that.
Mhm.
I love them, and I think that it really helps like enhance the breath too if you use it for
Mhm.
your practice.
Oh, I think so. I think it can change. I mean, it really can change your mood.
Yes,
A
100%.
friend of mine had told me about them years ago. I didn't really get it then, and I don't know all that I should know about essential oils. I'm still just learning more and
Yeah,
more and how they affect me
sure.
and everything. But yeah, I need to get my lavender. I've got lavender. I need to get that back out, especially at night because sometimes I really have a hard time sleeping. As you
Yes.
get older, it gets harder.
I know. I remember my parents always telling me that when I was younger because I always used to be such a great sleeper. And then going back to the motherhood thing, I mean, after I had Tristan, I used to be able to sleep through a hurricane, and now no more than a pin drops, and I am like awake.
What?
I wake up a lot throughout the night. Even now, like that's another thing that I've been trying to work on is really my sleep. Doing little tips and tricks of like not being on my phone right before going to bed.
Yes,
Trying to sort of relax so that you can really fall into that deep sleep because sleep is everything, truly. I
I
mean, it's at the top of
agree.
my list of,
Mhm.
of who I am as a human is how I sleep.
I start getting anxious thinking
Oh,
I'm not going to sleep.
like already we're like, oh, Jesus, what's tonight going to be like? I know. And that's why like the newborn stage as a new mama, that was not an ideal
Oh,
time for me. That was really brutal. I really
that
couldn't sleep.
I still even remember that all those years ago, and that was the worst
Worst,
part of having a baby, is
100%.
that sleep
Yeah.
deprivation. I mean, oh my gosh, it was awful. And even now with the 3-year-old, I would imagine he sometimes wakes up in the middle of the night and
After he turned like 4 months old, he became a pretty solid sleeper. I
oh,
will say that now that he's in a toddler bed, though, he does like to get up, like 3 or 4 a.m. and run into mommy and daddy's bed. I try to let him because I like the snuggles, but so there is a little bit of like interruption there, but he falls right back to sleep, so it's not too bad. The
yeah.
newborn stage was I was not prepared for that, and I truly remember there being a week where if I could just get 2 hours, like just two
Uh,
hours of sleep in a row is all I wanted.
but do you think anybody could prepare you for that?
No, I remember telling my sister because she had kids before me. I'm like, why didn't you tell me how hard it was? I was like in tears, like postpartum depression. And she's like, Juanina, I did. It was. I was sitting on the. She like described to me the moment in which she told me. I was like, oh, you did. Like you did tell me, but no one can, people can tell you all day long, but you'll never know until
No, until
you
you
go through it.
experience it. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, Juanita, I cannot wait till your program comes out to
Thank
your
you. I know
launch
I'm
your
so
business.
excited.
I'm so excited for you. I'm going to be doing those yoga flows with you for
Yes.
sure. For sure.
Please. I would love to have you fun with me
Oh,
and doing
it'd
all the
be
breath work too. I have two girlfriends doing the breath work. They specialize in meditation and more of like an active breath where it's all in and out through the
mm.
mouth. So they're going to be doing those videos. So you'll see all those faces on the
Oh,
website.
how fun.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
that's so
thought about
fun.
doing the meditations myself, but honestly, trying to get the flows underway and everything was quite the project. So
Oh, yeah. This isn't something easy that you just decide
no,
one day.
no.
Oh my
Starting
God.
a business is no joke, right?
No, it's not. You are doing it the right way, though. I'm so excited for you. So
Thank
tell
you.
everybody where they can find you.
Yes, so you can find me on Facebook and Instagram just with my name, Juanina Kocher. And then,
Why don't you spell it so that they'll
sure, no problem. So you spell it Juanina is Juanina, and then Kocher is Kocher. And for everyone out there, I do go by Nina for short. If you ever want to throw that out there. But and then the website will be flexandflowwellness.com, and it's already up. It does say like coming soon, but you can go ahead and visit it, kind of take a look at some of the stuff that's up there. But definitely more to come in the next couple of weeks.
Oh my gosh, I cannot wait. Thank you
Thank
so much for
you.
joining me.
Thank you so much. Always a pleasure.
Oh, you're so sweet. Hey guys, thanks so much for joining me. If you love this episode, which I know you do, be sure and follow both of us, Juanina Coker, on Instagram, Flex and Flow on Instagram, Well and Worthy Life on Instagram, and share this podcast with all your friends and family and followers. If you do that, make sure you tag us so that we can share it again too. Thanks
Yes.
for joining us and have a wonderful day.